So it's Thursday, and everything looks pretty good on the fix. I'm kind of showing you the after here, but where that gap was, rock solid. So the guys on THT shed some really important light on this. While you know, the guys at RJ said that this would be a fix and that pouring in the gap would create a bond. The folks that are boat building pros on the Hull Truth seem to disagree, and everybody's got far more experience than I. You've got people that make the product saying one thing, you've got people with practical experience saying another. So it's really it's kind of a toss-up. I don't have any kind of an idea of who would know better, but I will say that I was asked an interesting question by a guy on the thread that I started, and he asked me if this was a restoration or a fix, and that was a really good question. It's a little bit of both. This is my grandfather's boat. He never did anything on it which was beyond making something work. So to say that it's in better shape than it ever was, past the point where it was new, would be an understatement. This boat's in phenomenal shape compared to what it was when I got it back in '05. And yeah, it would be great if this were like new, but you know, I don't know, it just wouldn't be in the spirit of things, I guess. So yeah, it's the fix seemed to work out. I will say that down here, there is a phenomenal bond down here. That little gap was caused by 5200. That is not a miss in the bond. So it is solid all the way through, and yeah, it's just some discoloration here that's presenting that line. There's nowhere for a fingernail to get caught there. The same goes for these guys. The bolt holes for the motor mounts went well. These are my through holes for the transom or the stringer supports. They came out really nice, and that green you're seeing is the release wax that worked amazingly well. We got a little 5200 residue, but this whole backside is going to get sand down with the grinder, with the angle grinder, at some point, probably tomorrow. So yeah, 5200 is going bye-bye. Anyways, the latest thing that I've done is start to prep for these little risers here, and I'm new to fiberglass, so I'm just getting going. I'm just starting. And you see here where I've fiberglassed over a potential hole, and it looks like I might have to put another layer on right there. But yeah, it's that should hold up pretty well for when I do the pour in the riser. And again, I'm going through the top. I'm going to do it a little bit different. Instead of pulling the cap, I'm going down through the top with a 1/2-inch drill. I'm going to get a little funnel and just pour the stuff down there. Now, I did a prelim test with this Gorilla Tape, and despite fiberglass coatings telling me that it would pop the tape, I did a test pour in a small mold about the size of these risers, and that thing didn't budge. This tape is something else. So if you're in a bind, you need to do a small pour, and you need something to keep a form, that should get you done. So what I've done here is I've created a little bit of a dam out of fiberglass, and I did the same thing on the other side. And that's where I'm gonna stop the tape right here, and I'm gonna tape all the way up here, just going across right up to this flat part. And then I'm going to do the pour, and that should contain it. There's a little crack here. Put some epoxy in there just to make sure it doesn't leak out, and I'll keep an eye on that while I'm doing the pour itself. And you know, another thing that I learned here, again, because I'm new at fiberglass, is I've got about a 1/2 inch right here, and then the boat apparently was not level when I made the main pour for the transom. So what I'm left with is higher on this side, lower on this side. It's about a 1/16 of an inch here. It's about a 1/2 inch here. Glassing that is a pain in the ass. I don't know if a 1/2 inch of glass on the transom is wise. So what I've done, I don't know if you can see, is I've lowered the boat down as far as it'll go in the front. It's still not level from here to here, but it should make doing a little bit of a cursory pour, a little cosmetic pour in here to fill that gap once these two guys are poured on the side. So at the same time, I'm going to do this guy, I'm going to do this guy, and then I'm going to pour the rest of it in here and just kind of babysit it, trowel it out to the sides, just try and get that a little bit more even, and make less work for me. It took, I don't know, 15, 16 little sheets of this fiberglass mat I had, this chop mat that I have, to build up a 1/2 inch. So word to the wise. And this is the stuff that I'm using here. You know, fiberglass coatings just set me up with it. It's a pretty good thickness. I have no idea what the thickness is, but it's been working great so far. And again, this is not a pro job. This is just something to get my old boat running again and keep my grandfather's fishing boat in the water. So yeah, I'll hopefully come back when the sides are being poured and we'll be in good shape.